I got access to this from keymailer, however, it is of particular note to me that I got access only to the demo, so I'm gonna only review the demo. And it's an increasing, well, I don't know, phenomenon that publishers and developers only give access to the demo, and sometimes they will add a small section where it says, oh, cover our demo to get a chance to enter the lottery to get the full game. Yeah, no, that's never happening. Only the most public of persons that cover your game, the ones where you stand to gain the most, gain access to the full game. At least that's how it's been from what I've seen. What do I have to say about this game? Not that much, actually. It's like Slay the Spire, but different. And it could be more, but it isn't. And here's the second thing that I will say before I start. Well, I'll say two more things. One, I dislike that it updates the entire demo's file size every few days. I don't know why, I hate it. That said, the other thing is, I've done this like 7 or 8 times now, where, yeah, there's other classes, but you can't play them in the demo. And, I've done this like 7 or 8 times in the past now. 2 of the groups that I told did do something with the things that I told them. What do I mean? I think I'm great at coming up with things that would make a game fun, especially if it's an already existing core and I can guess what somebody wants that something to be. I can identify the shortfalls or the problematic places. 2 of the groups that I told what is it that's a problem or what's missing took what I said into account, and I think the games were all for the better. Not just from me, from my standpoint, but from the standpoint of people that played their game. That said, none of them. Not a single one of the 7 or 8 said any thanks or anything of the sort. And it's not that I would want money or thanks or like publicity, but currently you can't live in this world without money. I would provide everything I know for free if I could get everything I want for free in return, and that's not how it works. Okay, so this was added. Okay, that's a good start.
This belongs to me.
So this is like Slay the Spire. It's different, but I'm not sure if it's better. Okay, this is another thing that was missing from when I first played the demo like 3 weeks ago. So, okay, fleshing it out. Uh-huh. So what's different here? The primary thing that's different. And, right, I don't need to move my camera. The primary thing that's different here is this is not the entire floor. It just keeps on going. And you can tell when a new floor starts by when there's like a cutoff line from what I remember, and the area on this tablet just starts getting not darker but like a different color. I will give one piece of feedback. You need to do more. You really need to do more of the game. That you can look around is good, but that it's looking around is only cosmetic. It serves no purpose. What this game needs is more interactions with the crypt. It's a game about going into a crypt, much like Slay the Spire is a game about entering the spire. The point of Slay the Spire is slaying the heart slash... I forget. There's one boss after the heart. that you can get to if you collect all the keys. It's been a while since I played the first game. Second game doesn't have that yet. Maybe never will. What you need is more interactions with the Crypt. Like, what happens at times is... Alright, you don't pick, you just do it this way. What happens at times is there's the environment, and sometimes, only sometimes, you can destroy the things to get some bonus. And it'll say, like, you can get money or you can get an item, whatever. The problem then... The problem then arises from when it's basically a glorified first-person Slay the Spire, and it doesn't have enough that makes it unique. Now, I do not mean to be, for lack of a better term, mean. However, there is a striking problem with the game from my point of view. And the striking problem is... the combat is whatever. If you get lucky and you get one of the OP heals, you probably win. If you get unlucky and you don't get one of the OP heals, you probably lose and don't make it very far. So there's problems with the balance. There's, however, also problems with that. Look at all these things that are on the walls. You cannot interact with any of them. Unless it's a specific destructible that was spawned. So, to finally get to the point. What you need is more things to interact with. And there's such a potential for this. Where's the... oh, hey, in this fight, you found a hidden lever, you pulled it, you escaped the current combat, and you found like a special way of going here. Or maybe the tablet expands or zooms out, and you can go multiple other ways. Even, you could, for example, even go so far left, that you could then appear back on the right. Or where's, you look, if you could look more up, you look up and you see like loose stalagmites that have crystallized on the ceiling. And if you do enough damage to them, they will kill like some of the enemies. And you could like manipulate the positioning of enemies so that you could choose who the stalagmites fall on. Or you look far right and there's like a doorway and there's like some glow coming out of it. If you like throw something in there, maybe a very hungry, I don't know, monster comes out and just eats one of the enemies or all three of them. Or if you could look even down, which you cannot, you look down and you see cracks in the floor. Or there's so much you could do with this. This is a sandbox, unlike Slay the Spire, which was very limited, but because it was very limited, it also knew what it is it wanted to do. This game is like... okay, so roguelikes are popular. Roguelites are popular. Though this is more of a roguelike because you don't really unlock much between runs. Maybe that's different, I don't know. This is the demo, as I said. The main problem is, this is a sandbox, and you can't really play around with the sand, you're just sitting in the box. And my complaint is basically, give more sand. You already know this is a box. This is supposed to be the sand, but there's not enough of the sand. Why can't I, like, why does my camera reset after I just... what's the point of looking to the sides if there's nothing to look at? Oh, there's a vase, there's a cobweb. Why can I not interact with any of these? Why does it recenter back after I let go of my mouse? Why can't I, like, burn the cobwebs, like to force out some spiders into the room to trigger an extra fight? If you have so many skills that you can use to your advantage that, like, permanently heal you or increase your max health or whatever, why can you not just interact with the Crypt? You can only interact with the preset paths, and you can't really do much else. What's this body about? Can't I just like smash it to pieces? Maybe it holds something? See, it's like... perhaps it has an interesting premise, but it's not interesting enough. And there's also the problems of like... I turned on fast travel, so you don't have to see me walking through the room all the way to the near end of it where the fight spawns. Another thing that could be happening is, for example, you're moving on to the next room, and on the way to the next room, an event happens. Hey, there's like you look right side, and there's like a swinging axe coming all the way to you. And you get a chance, like maybe you can break it with one of your attacks, or maybe you jump back, it slams into the wall on the left, and it shows cracks or like breaks something. Or maybe it's some like enemies that have bad perception, and you can lure them back into the axe. Like there's so much you could do, and it doesn't do that. And this, because it is an indie project, that's why I am giving any feedback in the first place, instead of just making no commentary coverage. But it's like, the problems with the gameplay loops, core gameplay loops of games are so easy to notice, so obvious. And I could fix so many games, or if not fix, make them so much more fun. But if I don't get paid for doing so, what's the point? Because as I noted earlier, this is a world where you need money to do anything. If I don't make any money off of fixing the games, I have no incentive to fix the games, besides, oh, the game will be better. Games where I would want to do this with don't listen. I didn't try with all of them, I tried with some. So what I'm left with is appealing to the smaller developers. But then again, word of that doesn't spread. So... Another thing is, I think 22 plus, I do have frail, but there's no way I'm doing 22 plus because I forget how much frail does. Okay, well, here. I need to get some more block. There we go. So it's like, it's okay, but there's not enough sand, is the best I'll describe this. Only I had frail now. Would have been great. And of course I'm not gonna play the best, the point is to show off the game and bring up my problems with it. Why can't I like pull that off the wall and like throw it at the enemy or blow into it or see if it does anything? Why can't I read some of these runes? Maybe they do something. Look at that book. Maybe it has a spell that could cut the fight shorter. Like for how long the fights take, and for how much you lose in between the fights just because you don't draw enough defenses. Unlike with Slay the Spire, where at the end of a fight with the basic class you heal health, so you kinda get the point of hey, maybe you don't know what's happening, but if you play careful, you will get to see more of the game. And if you come across a fight that has, like, turning points you don't know, okay, you lose at that one fight, but every future fight that comes after it, you're very likely to remember or find out what it is you should prepare for that one fight, and then you get further. As the basic starter class in here, you don't get any of that. You don't get a heal after you end the fight. So you don't really get to see much, and because of the inconsistencies, there's no like draw an attack or draw anything you want from your deck. I didn't even find any draw cards, period. And that's a big problem. It's also that it doesn't show like icons above here, what follows after, and you have to constantly keep checking the map. I mean, you have the Crypt. Why don't you have a tablet on the wall where you can just glance, or like in the middle, or like on the ceiling where you can just, instead of having to open a menu, you can just look around. So this way continues here, here, and here. That way continues here, here, and here. I get that I once, and I still have the ideas for the rest of it in my head. I once made one campaign, one mission for Work a Free Campaign. a what if about ogres that live in hills above plague lands, which actually don't exist, but hey, imagine there's hills, and how would that affect the world and what would happen? I had an entire route that ogres would go, interact with enemies with various groups, and you wouldn't spend too long with any one group, and you would encounter some enemies that would be like, you could say antagonists, and you would find also other characters, and you would expand your roster and whatever, you would eventually even get a base. And I get that the first time I made this and I sent it to somebody for playtesting, that somebody returned some like very obvious things that I should have done, and I just didn't think of them. But they were related to quality of life. They were not about the combat or the content. It was things like, hey, well, you have spells that have hotkeys that make no sense. You already have the MOBA standardized QWER, so why not use that? And it was like, oh, what an amazing, amazing feedback. And it made the map much better. It still has problems, and the ending is jank, because I don't know how to do it better. I could do it if I wanted to, but it's just like, I wanted to try it once, and that was it. So, having somebody bring these tips, bring this sort of feedback, is invaluable, especially if you're making a paid product. And so you can see the motivation behind why would I give any feedback if not only I get access only to the demo, I don't get anything out of making the game better, and I don't get paid. So this is what I said is, I think, more than enough for having access only to the demo. By the way, the textures are glitching and showing the skybox. But I think it's more than enough just giving these small tips, and they really are small. There's so much more you could do with this sandbox, and I gave some tips about the sand. Maybe you get to watch this, maybe you don't. If you do, hello. But I think that's enough of the game. Maybe I'll like show the treasure and maybe one more fight, but that's about it. Game isn't of that much interest to me. Yeah? Oh, look at the gems. Oh, they're shiny. But you cannot do anything with any of them. You can only do things with the box. Can you look around for like hidden doors or anything? Hey, gain free health at the start of combat. Why is it free? Oh hey, there are 2 cards at the start when you have the same amount of energy, so it's probably pointless. You can... The one thing it does do differently is you can remove cards from your deck for free, every door. If a card goes to 0 durability and you hit a door with, the card goes away. As far as I can tell, there are no enemies that would lower durability of your cards, which is great. However, then comes the problem of, well, you only have a limited amount of keys, and I had runs where I didn't have enough keys, so I started eating through my deck, and that was very bad. There need to be like cards where you can restore durability, or like something like alternate ways to make sure you never run out of cards and never lose too many cards to break your deck. That's a problem, because otherwise it's a massive RNG fest, right? Here's a question mark. Let's have a look. It's usually a fight. It's a fire. I guess I'd have to heal because the fires are not like evenly spread out. They're very unevenly spread out. In Slay the Spire, the one thing it did really well was at set intervals you would have heal places. And how far you got was impacted by the most was A, if you could reach the heal place, and B, how difficult of a route to a fire you picked, and if you could deal with that path or not. So with the enemies on that path here, okay, I can see there's like some fires, they're unevenly spread out, and because I found a heal here, It's just that they're not at set intervals, and that is another problem. Let's visit one more merchant, and that'll be it. Because it's like I'm not exactly a fan. 171.
This belongs to me.
A lot of the cards are pretty bad for what they give. At the start of your turn, gain free block. This is good for like the entry fight or the first two fights. After that, it becomes turbo shit. A lot of the cards don't scale. And when it comes to scaling cards, it's the usual. Gain strength. And for block, I haven't seen anything that would increase how block scales. Oh hey, another resting place. And the upgrades for cards that I've seen also aren't that impactful outside of the very few that are. Yes, you can transform a card, I don't care. It does have a big upside where you just tick a box instead of having to review cards one by one. So if you want to see upgraded versions, just tick that, which is good. And the massive part of how far you get is really mapping out or planning out which way you go. But as I said, the game needs a lot more work in regards to what it actually is about, because currently what it's about is getting far by getting lucky, what it could be is getting far by interacting with the crypt. So I guess that's enough for now.